All right, let's jump right in. We really need to talk about the sheer speed of AI, because this isn't just another new app on your phone. We're talking about a fundamental shift that's happening faster than anything, and I mean anything we have ever seen before. Look, this isn't hype. This is the reality that's playing out as we speak. While a lot of us are just, figuring out how to use AI to write a better email, a massive transformation is already kicking into high gear, and the clock is ticking way, way faster than you think. So to really wrap our heads around how fast this whole thing is moving, we need a little perspective. We've been through huge technological changes before, right? But this one just feels different. Let's actually see how it stacks up against the revolutions that basically defined the last 30 years. There's a term for this. It's called technological disruption. It's basically when a new invention comes along and just completely rewrites the rules for everyone. And our first big modern example? Well, that was the internet. Think about it. The internet goes public in '89, but it took a long time to really catch on. It wasn't until 2005 that it finally hit 1 billion users. That's a 16-year journey. And in that time, it absolutely wiped out entire industries. I mean, remember the yellow pages or buying a huge encyclopedia set? All gone. Then the next big wave hits, social media. Facebook kicks off in 2004 and smashes the 1 billion user mark by 2012. That took just 8 years, literally half the time of the internet, and it completely turned advertising, the news, and even just how we talk to each other on its head. The pace was definitely picking up. Okay, now look at this. This is where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. 16 years for the internet, 8 years for social media, and then there's AI. ChatGPT launched in late 2022, and it is on a rocket ship trajectory to hit 1 billion users by 2025. We are talking about less than 3 years. The adoption curve isn't even a curve anymore. It's a straight-up vertical line. And here's the same idea in a bar chart. I mean, you can just see the compression. It's undeniable. What used to take a generation to build now happens in the span of a couple of years. This isn't just faster. This is a different kind of change altogether. Now, big numbers and crazy charts are one thing, but this stuff really hits home when you see it happen in the real world. For the author of our source material, there was this one moment, a moment that made all of this feel very, very real. So he runs a company called Briefs Media. They publish financial news. And as he's watching AI just explode onto the scene, he has this sudden, chilling realization. This wasn't some distant threat he could worry about later. It was right here, right now. His whole business was at risk if they didn't change and fast. That was his wake-up call. And that right there is the key takeaway. So many of us think of AI's big impact as something that's going to happen someday. But it's not on the horizon. It's here. The ground is literally shifting under our feet right now. And this wake-up call isn't just for one person or one company. Let's scale this back up. The World Economic Forum predicts that by 2030, AI is going to eliminate 92 million jobs. Just let that number sink in for a second. 92 million. This is a societal shift on a scale we've just never seen before. So here's the most important difference. Yes, the internet killed old jobs, but it created new ones. The thing is, society had decades to adjust. People had time to go back to school, learn new skills, and adapt. With AI, we don't have decades. We have years. That incredible compression of time is the single biggest challenge we are all facing. Okay. So the change is huge, and it is happening unbelievably fast. And yeah, that can feel a little overwhelming. But understanding the problem is always the first step to finding a solution. So what on earth do we do about it? Well, the roadmap from here really boils down to asking 3 critical questions. First, is my job or my industry at risk of being automated? Second, what are the truly human skills that are safe from AI or maybe even made better by it? And finally, the most important question of all, how can I use this insane new technology to create something new, to create new opportunities? This is the framework you need to start thinking about, like today. The fastest technological revolution in the history of humanity is happening right now, all around us. We've laid out the questions you need to be asking yourself. Where are you vulnerable? What makes you irreplaceable? And how can you turn this disruption into an opportunity? The shift is already here, so the only real question left is, are you ready? Okay, let's just get right to it.
Are the robots coming for your job? I mean, that's the million-dollar question with AI, right? But honestly, the conversation is it's full of so much hype and, frankly, a lot of fear. So over the next few minutes, we're going to try and cut through all that noise. We're going to look at the real data, what's actually happening with AI in the workforce. Let's dive in. So yeah, this is the big one. Will AI take your job? It's the question that's on pretty much everyone's mind. And look, there's a lot of anxiety out there, and for good reason. So in this explainer, we're going to tackle it head on. No beating around the bush. We're just going to look at the most current data, the latest projections, and see what they really say. All right, section 1, AI's hit list. First up, let's just rip the Band-Aid off, right? Let's get right to the heart of that fear and look at the jobs that experts say are facing the most immediate, the most significant impact from AI and automation. So our first at-risk job, telemarketers. And this is a role we've all run into, right? It's a perfect first example because the work itself, well, it lines up almost perfectly with what today's AI is really, really good at. So why is this job so vulnerable? Well, it really just comes down to pure raw efficiency. Think about it for a second. The conversations are mostly scripted, right? They're repeatable. An AI doesn't need a coffee break. It can make thousands of calls at the exact same time, and the cost for each one of those calls drops to basically nothing. This isn't just a small improvement, it's a fundamental change in the economics of how this job works. And look, this isn't just about spoken scripts. We're seeing the exact same pattern emerge in a field that's all about the written word. I'm talking about proofreaders and copy editors. You know, the folks who have always been the guardians of quality text. They're facing a really similar kind of shift. The reason here is pretty simple. Large language models, at their core, are just masters of recognizing and creating patterns. So for standard stuff, like marketing emails or a basic blog post, an AI can spit out a draft that's maybe 90% of the way there. Now, that doesn't mean the human editor's gone, but it totally changes their job. They go from being a creator and a fixer to more of a final reviewer, and that just dramatically cuts down the amount of human time you need for each project. Okay, but this isn't just about office jobs or tasks you do on a computer. Nope. The impact is being felt in the physical world too. Just think about those gigantic fulfillment centers, the ones that power all of our online shopping. And the vulnerability here is really a 1-2 punch. First, you have these predictable physical tasks. A robot can totally handle the repetitive lifting, sorting, packing. But the real game changer, it's the AI brain behind the robot. It's optimizing everything, from where to put the inventory to the absolute shortest path for a package to travel. It's the brain and the brawn working together perfectly. So this brings up a really crucial point. It's not always about an entire job just poof disappearing overnight. A better way to think about it is this term task affectation. One study found that almost 1 in 5 workers in the US could see half or even more of their daily tasks affected by these AI models. So your job might not vanish, but how you do it? Yeah, that is very, very likely to change. All right, section 2, the numbers. So we've seen the types of jobs that are at risk, but what are the actual numbers telling us? Let's zoom out a bit from these individual roles and look at the big picture, job loss versus job creation. Okay, let's start with a hard, cold number. 3,900. Now, this isn't some guess or a forecast. That was the actual number of US job losses that were directly blamed on AI in just 1 month, May of 2023. Now, look, in an economy with millions and millions of jobs, that number is pretty small, but it's significant because it's real. It proves that job displacement isn't some far-off future problem. It's already happening, and we can actually measure it. But, and this is a huge but, this is where the story takes a really dramatic turn. According to the World Economic Forum, while automation might get rid of around 92 million jobs, it's also expected to create 170 million new ones. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a net gain of almost 80 million jobs. This completely reframes the entire conversation. It tells us the biggest challenge isn't just about job loss, it's about a massive economy-wide job transition. Okay, section 3, the safe zone. So if some jobs are at risk, which ones are safer, and what does safer even mean anymore? Let's dive into the roles where AI is looking less like a replacement and a lot more like a powerful assistant. Let's take a look at the skilled trades, like plumbers or electricians. A robot is going to have a really hard time navigating the messy, unpredictable layout of your basement to fix some weird plumbing problem, right? That takes hands-on situational judgment.
But AI can be an incredible tool for that plumber. It can help diagnose a problem from a picture, plan the most efficient route between jobs, or perfectly estimate the materials needed. It's augmenting their skill, not replacing it. And we see the exact same principle in healthcare. Jobs that need empathy, that require complex physical skill and critical human judgment, they are way less likely to be automated. Sure, an AI can analyze an X-ray and flag something for a doctor to look at, or it can handle all that mind-numbing paperwork for a nurse. But what it can't do is provide that direct patient care, that human connection, and that is still the absolute core of the job. All right, section 4. AI's trillion-dollar promise. So moving beyond just the impact on individual jobs, there's a much, much bigger economic story unfolding here. Forecasters are looking at AI not just as a disruptor, but as a massive engine for economic growth. And when you start looking at the projections, the numbers are just staggering. We're not talking about billions of dollars here. We're talking about trillions. And what's really remarkable is how much everyone agrees. You look at these different sources, we're talking McKinsey, PwC, even the US government. They're all pointing to the exact same conclusion. AI is about to unlock a mind-boggling amount of economic value. Let's just pull out that one high-end number from the McKinsey report. $17 trillion. To try and put that into perspective, that's more than the entire annual economic output of China. It's a number so big, it's honestly hard to even wrap your head around it. This isn't just about a cool new product. This suggests a fundamental rewiring of the global economy, on a scale we probably haven't seen since the Industrial Revolution.
Okay, section 5. What this means for you. So we've looked at the risks, we've crunched the numbers, we've seen the safer jobs, and we've glimpsed that huge economic potential. Now let's bring it all back home. What are the key takeaways for you as you try to navigate your career in this new age of AI? Okay, let's boil this all down. First, yes, displacement is real. It's happening. But for most of us, the real story is going to be about our jobs changing, not just disappearing. A skill premium is already starting to form. Basically, you get rewarded if you know how to work with AI. And while that whole economic pie is set to get a lot bigger, the single most important factor for you is your ability to adapt and keep learning. That's it. That's the ballgame. And that really brings us to the final thought here. The whole conversation is shifting. It's moving away from this passive fear of, oh no, what is AI going to do to my job? And it's becoming a much more active and frankly more powerful question. What can I do with AI? And that little shift in perspective, it makes all the difference in the world.